Welcome back. My name is Dustin. I'm your video tour guide, and today we're going to be going over how to edit your first video in Davinci Resolve. If you watched my last video, you'll see that this is a free professional video editing software, and there's a bunch of tools that are included in it as well. So please keep your arms and legs inside your chairs at all times. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So the last video that I posted on my channel, I actually edited in Davinci Resolve. I don't have a lot of experience in Davinci Resolve, but I have the knowledge and the tools and the skills in order to teach you guys how to use it and how to edit your first video. I use Davinci Resolve for some of the other tools that are in it. There's a bunch of other things in it, like I talked about in my last video, so definitely look into this software if it's something that you're wanting to get into video editing. The first time you open Davinci Resolve, you're going to encounter this window right here. It's called the Project Manager window, and yeah, you just create a project basically in order to import your media, and you can hit new project, new folder. You can even put projects in folders and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to hit this untitled project and then just save it real quick. Go to File, Save Project As, and we'll call it First YouTube Tutorial Video. So the first tab, basically the way Davinci Resolve is set up is there's a bunch of tabs down here at the bottom, and this is basically the way that you should edit your video. It's the order in which you should do everything. And on the Media tab, this is where we're going to import our media, and it's pretty easy. Over here on the left side, it displays our hard drives that we can find on our computer. When I click on a drive, it'll display all the folders, and this is where my assets are located. And then down here, this is a way, on this right side, this is a way you can preview your media. So for example, my camera right here, you double click it, or you can even scrub back and forth on the clip in order to kind of preview it. And yeah, so this is your preview window. And then down here, this is where you're going to actually drag in all of those clips, all of your media, not just the clips, but the audio as well. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this stuff in. If you see this setting pop up, what it's saying is the clips of it, they have a different frame rate from the default settings that I have for my timeline. I'll get into what the timeline is, but most of the time you're going to want to hit change because you want your timeline to match your frame rate and your settings that you have your clips recorded on. So for example, this was recorded in 4K at 23.976 frames per second, or 24 frames per second. And so I want it to match those settings, so I'm just going to hit change so it matches those settings. So now I've got my video in. Right here, there's a back button, and we're going to import my mic. I used a separate audio source, like a lavalier mic, when I recorded that last video, so we'll import that, and then my screen capture. So these are the only 3 things that I need, or 5 things that I need. My video, my audio, my screen capture in order to get started. This next tab right here, the Cut tab, I might do a video later on this tab. Basically, if you want to assemble your videos very quickly, this is something that was introduced new to Davinci Resolve just this year. And so I'm not very familiar with this, but I've looked into it a little bit, and it looks very intuitive and very cool. So if you're looking to edit things really, really fast, which most people are, this might be a good option. But we're going to stick with this tab for now, the Edit tab. And if you've ever opened a non-linear editor software, sorry, not a linear editor, we're not actually literally cutting film and pasting it together. I mean, that would be cool if I knew how to do that, but maybe in a future video, just let me know. The Edit tab, though, this is very, 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 very similar to most non-linear editors like Final Cut X, Premiere Pro, Sony Vegas, and Avid Media Composer. I'll get into another video later where I kind of talk about different linear editors, and that there isn't really a wrong or right one to use. Like, you get the same result out of any linear editor, non-linear editor. Sorry, I keep saying that, but non-linear editor. And I'll get into what non-linear means and what linear means if you don't know what that means, but I'll do that in a future video, and I'll kind of talk about that. On our Edit tab, there's a few different windows that you can see here. This is where our media is located. This is going to be our preview window, which is kind of the same thing as that last window. You can preview all your different clips. And you can do it by scrubbing, or if you want it to load into the preview window, you can double click it and you can scrub through it right here. And then this over here is your program window, which will display anything that is in your timeline, which is this display right down here. This is what the display that we're going to be working with a lot. It's where you make all your edits, where you cut things, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag everything down in there so you can see. If you want to zoom out on this timeline, you can use this little scrub wheel right here to zoom in and out so you can see all your clips, or you can hit Alt. I think it would be Alt on a Mac as well. Sorry, I'm using PC. And you can scroll on your mouse and you'll zoom in and zoom out. Yeah, I'm going to actually delete these real quick. I'm going to put these in the order that I want them. So I want my screen capture to be first. And then I want my camera to be on top of the screen capture. And then I want my audio to be at the very, very bottom that I recorded. So the first thing you need to do when you bring in your video is you probably need to sync all the audio, because all of this is out of sync. I hope that you have a way to sync it together, or if you want to save time, the best is to just record your audio in camera. But the way that I did this video, I just didn't have that option for now. But luckily I had sound on my screen capture as well as my camera and then my audio source. And I clapped right at the beginning. So the way I'm going to sync it, and maybe I'll get into another video as well, but Davinci Resolve also has what's called an auto sync. We don't want to select my timeline real quick. So if I wanted to auto sync these clips, I can select them all. You can select them all, right click, and then go down to auto sync audio, and you can sync it based on your time code or based on your waveform. And I tried it a few times earlier to see how well it worked. And in this scenario, it didn't work very well, but I think if I didn't have my screen capture and the audio was louder on my screen capture, it would actually sync up pretty well. Maybe I'll test that and go into that in another video. And I can go into what time code means. That's the best way to sync, but I mostly just use waveform. And there's a bunch of different softwares you can use as well to sync audio. And yeah, I can tell you what append tracks means. Basically all it means is that you're going to put your audio source at the bottom, I believe. I have to look more into that, but yeah, I could get into that into another video. But luckily at the beginning of my video I did a clap, and so I can actually see that on the audio forms down here exactly where that was, and I can just sync it up manually, and it's not going to be too difficult. So I'm just going to zoom in here on the audio and sync up my audio as best I can. And you can zoom way in here. Okay, that is synced enough. So let me just zoom out here. And remember, you can still use this scroll wheel if you want to zoom in and out. I'm going to sync up this last one right here. Yeah, and this is definitely not the way that I would recommend doing this. Software like Premiere Pro does a really good job at syncing all of your audio. I'll get into another tutorial later on Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is what I'm really comfortable with. This is actually the first time that I'll be actually editing a video in Davinci Resolve. So yeah, it's kind of interesting actually. So now I'm just clicking and dragging these clips until they line up. One thing you'll notice is when you move these around, it's almost like they snap together on the end points of the clips. If you want to turn that off, it's just this magnet tool right here called snapping. You can also use a hotkey, which is N, and it's a lot easier to move around. It won't snap anymore to your cuts. And I'm actually going to turn that off, and it looks like that's going to be close enough. You can also move these windows down and make them a little smaller. I'm just going to do that so it's not so huge. Now that all my stuff is synced up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this bottom portion, this audio, because I actually don't need this audio. And what you can do is I just selected it, but these clips right here, they are synced together because they were recorded together. This audio is with the video and this audio was with my screen capture. And so they're synced together. What you can do to unlink them is, at least this is what I do, you can just highlight them both, which I'm just clicking and dragging and then highlighting them like that. And there's this lock button right here. What it'll do is it'll lock the tracks, the different tracks that are right here. You can see these are still selected, but I've locked the top track, And then when I hit delete, it'll just delete those audio clips. So now I can unlock these clips or these tracks, and I can just move my audio up like that. And now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to actually link my clips to my audio now, so then when I move these around like this, they don't get out of sync. So I'm going to hit Command Z, and that's how you do undo, or Control Z is another way to do that. So now I'll just highlight those clips. I'll right click and hit link clips. So now when I click and move these, it actually selects all the clips and they're all synced together. So now we're going to get into cutting this down. The most important tool when you're cutting this down, and it's the only tool you can really use, and starting out you'll probably the way that you'll cut this together. I'm going to zoom in here and get ready to do the cut. And I'm going to want the video to start right here. The way I cut the clip down the middle is this clip right here. It's called the blade tool, or the blade edit mode, or whatever like that. You can either hit B, or you can just click on the clip right here. And it's pretty straightforward. Wherever the playhead is, that's where it will cut. So yeah, what I'm going to do is just take the blade tool and cut it right there, and then I can just delete this stuff right here. And what you want to do is you want to make sure to click back to your selection tool or selection mode. You can either hit A or B, and my suggestion is you start learning the hotkeys as fast as you can, because it'll really speed up your editing time. So B is the blade tool, A is your selection tool or selection mode. So I'm just going to delete that now. And then I don't want all this empty space now that's to the left of my timeline, or to the left of my clips, all this empty space. And what you can do is just click this empty space and then hit delete, and it'll move all of your clips to the beginning of the timeline. So the way that I edit these videos together, at least the best way I've found, is spacebar is how you play your
you need some lights,
timeline,
which, you know,
and I use hotkeys basically to go through these, and
those
L
are essential, but you can
will
get started
play
with
it
camera
at double
and want
speed.
the audio, but that can come later as well. But
and so I can go through the clips and find all of my best points, basically,
I want to give you some tips,
or where I need to. I can go through my whole timeline basically, and I can find where I need to make cuts very quickly. And I actually like to use a set of commands basically to make cuts, and it can be really annoying to go back and forth between this blade tool and this selection tool. And so you can click it and then make a cut right there, but I'm not really into that. I'm all about like working really, really fast. And so the best way to make a cut on your clip is to use the hotkey, which is Command B, which will make a cut all the way down your clips on all of your tracks, I mean. So I'm going to figure out where I want to make the first cut.
Computer, which you may already have, or you're working on building. But the camera, you also need to be able to edit. And that's something I want to talk about.
I'm going to cut the camera out.
The camera,
because I don't know why I said that. I just stutter when I'm speaking, basically. So I'm going to hit Command B where my playhead is, and then I'm just going to hit Command B, delete that clip, and then delete that section right there of blank space.
And that's something I want to talk about in this video. Is I want to give you some tips. That's something I want to talk about in this video.
So you can see I like lost my train of thought I was going somewhere with it, and then yeah, I decided not to go that way. So I'm going to delete that clip
and that's what I want to talk about in this video. Is I want to give you some tips.
Command B. So we're going to delete this and get rid of that.
Editing software.
You're just going to want to go through all of your video in your timeline, and you're going to want to make all your cuts until you get satisfied with, you know, the way things are. And just for the sake of time in this video, I'm just going to go ahead and speed up this portion and get all of my clips basically cut to the right amount. Okay, so now I've gone through and I've cut down all of my footage and done most everything that I needed to do. On one of the clips, I put myself in the bottom left corner of the frame, and so like this. The way that you can do that, I'll just go ahead and do it to this clip right here. If you move your mouse up to this tool right here, it's called the inspector. And basically this will just display all the different like transform, cropping, and basically different options that you can apply to that clip that you have selected. And yeah, you can zoom in and out right here. You can move the position left to right and up and down and all that good stuff. The easiest way to do it in Davinci Resolve is to just set the clip where you want it, like I had on this clip. And then you can just right click, hit copy. And then when you click on this clip, again, that is not in the right spot, you can right click and hit paste attributes. And then this window will pop up and you can select what you want it to do. So what I want it to do, it'll actually pop up like this. What I want it to do is I only want it to do the position and the zoom, and then just hit apply. And once it catches up, there we go, it will move to its position that it needs to be in. Another thing I want to do is add music and add my intro and my lower thirds. So I already imported those in the media tab, and I'm just going to drag and put those on top. So I want the intro to start right when I start talking. So right there, I'm gonna get rid of that. And then I also want to put a cross dissolve on top of this. And the way that you access your different effects and everything that you can add to your different clips is right here in the top left. There's this effects library, and there's a bunch of different things that are in here. There's video transitions, audio transitions. There's a bunch of lower thirds and titles you can use. There's effects that you can add. I think it's right here. Yeah, like blurs or like camera shake or a vignette, you know, stuff like that. Basically different effects that you want. But I'm just going to use a cross dissolve and just put it right on top of this clip. And let's maybe shorten this a little bit. And there we go. My computer is kind of struggling on this 4K footage while I record my screen, but it shouldn't lag this much. But I am editing in 4K as well. So I'm going to find the spot too where I do my Instagram and my Twitch call out as well. And I'm going to add those lower thirds. I believe it was right here.
Twitch highlight. By the way, I do have a Twitch channel linked down.
So right there, I'm going to pull up my inspector. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. It's a little bit too small. Let's go maybe about 0.5. And then let's go ahead and move this into the bottom left corner. Woo! Yeah, it's going crazy. There we go. I'm going to copy that because I want to do the same thing for my Instagram. By the way, I have a Twitch channel. I want to do a lot more with the Twitch channel besides just playing games, but it is a cool place just to come hang out. You can ask me questions about video editing. You can ask me questions about camera gear. You can ask me questions about my life. You can even ask me if I'm going to storm Area 51. Like, are you storming Area 51? I also have an Instagram where you can see more of my personal life. I don't post any of my videos on there that are at my full-time job, but you can see a lot of videos that I've done on the side. Go follow me there if you'd like that. So I'm just gonna right-click, do paste attributes, and position and zoom. Yep. Boom. And it is there. The last thing to do is add music. What I'm going to do is I already have my music track right here. If you're looking for different music tracks and stock music licensing websites, I'm going to do another video later where I go and review a bunch of different stock music websites that I've used. Stay tuned for that video. It'll be a good one. I just want this audio to be in the background and really quiet. So if I zoom in here, and let's make this a little bit bigger, there's this kind of white line here, and once this little indicator pops up, you can actually just drag the volume down. I'm going to do like 27, and then I'm going to come over to my audio transitions and add a crossfade right to the beginning, and then I'm just going to cut this right here. So I'll hit B, and that will get to my blade tool, hit A to go back to my selection tool, and I'm just going to move that there. I'm actually going to extend that so it starts over right there. I'm going to add a crossfade right there. Another way you can add crossfades is you can right click when this little indicator pops up, that one right there, and let's do 48 frame crossfade. I'm okay with that crossfade right there. One way that you can duplicate clips that's really simple and easy, instead of clicking and hitting Command C and then moving your playhead and hitting Command V, you can actually just click on the clip, hold Alt, click, and then drag it anywhere you'd like. I'm gonna actually move that a little bit right there. And that's perfect. I want it to crossfade right there. And I'm just going to drag that over and put it right there. And I want the music to kind of maybe about how many seconds? 10. By the way, if you hit up and down on your keyboard, you'll take your playhead to one of your cuts. 48 is about 6 seconds. Yeah, that's fine. So the last thing you want to do, you can mess with these different tools if you'd like. Fusion, like I said, is a 3D animation or effects kind of thing. I don't know much about it because I don't do any kind of 3D and stuff like that, but it's node based, not layer based, which is really, really cool what you can do with that. As well as the color tab, it's actually node based. I'm super familiar with the color grade tab because I actually color grade my videos in Davinci Resolve a lot. It is a great tool. I do not like color grading in Premiere Pro. I haven't done it in Final Cut, but I really love color grading in Davinci Resolve. It is amazing. I'll do another video later on talking more about this and going more into depth, but it's an awesome, awesome color grading software. Fairlight is where you can apply some audio effects to your different tracks. I just basically pushed up the gain a little bit on this. And then the most important part is the Deliver tab. And the cool thing about the Deliver tab is they have a bunch of different presets for wherever you're going to be uploading this to. And I'm going to go to the YouTube one. If you hit this down arrow, you can select different resolutions. I'm doing 4K. We'll just title this. And then I'm going to make sure it's going to the right place. Yep, we'll just put it right there. They do have an option to upload directly to YouTube. I've never used this before, but it is a cool option if you are a YouTuber and you want to just, streamline your process even more. And after that, you just hit add to render queue, and that's pretty much it. You hit start render, and then it'll start rendering. I'm not going to render right now just because I'm recording my screen right now, and it'll just take up a lot of processing power. So that is all I have for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. You can hit the bell option if you want to get my annoying notifications. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day on this wild ride we call life.
Using grapple.
Reloading.
I am taking fire, friends. I am down.
Enemy down. Reloading. Setting shield, you'll be alright.